Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Are you committed or are you not? Are you in or are you out? We love the words from Tony Vitello. You're either a Vol or you're not, through thick and thin. The 865 live recruiting event, pretty big success for Tennessee over the weekend. A lot of guys seem to be trending in the right direction, and I get it. We got a long way to go until National Signing Day, but you got the number one running back on campus in Savion Hyder. A lot of the in-state kids were in town, and a lot of those guys really seem to be leaning Tennessee. Braden Rouse was here. Look, that's a big boy battle. We talk about getting these blue chip prospects. That's one of those guys. You're going up against Texas. You're going up against Alabama. You're going up against Michigan, but I like where Tennessee is at. Look, we're going to be putting out a few videos talking about everybody that was in town over the course of the 865 live event. But I want to start with a guy that's currently committed to Tennessee, and you guys know who that is. Four-star tight end Carson Sneed, 6'5.5", 235 pounds, out of Nashville, Tennessee. You go to the On3 industry rankings, ranked just outside the On 300, ranked 320th nationally. Now, Carson Sneed, if you go over to 247 Sports and you see what Andrew Ivins has to say about the four-star tight end, says he's a throwback, an inline tight end prospect that has actually received some valuable snaps at offensive tackle while also doubling as a front seven defender. I think that is huge. I think that is crucial. A guy that plays tight end, but also plays offensive tackle. We know if you're going to play tight end in this offense, if you're going to play tight end for Josh Heupel, you've got to not only be able to catch the football, you also got to be able to block. Size has not been third-party verified, but is believed to be over 6'5", with the room to eventually carry 260 pounds or more. Rather effective at this stage as an attached blocker, should only get better at sealing off run lanes with improved technique and further physical development. Goes on to say he hasn't really proven to be a vertical threat in the passing game, but can slip out of the backfield and find soft spots in zone coverage, especially down in the red zone. Should be viewed as a potential asset in an offense that's heavy on 2 and 3 tight end sets. Could thrive in a sniffer role. Now, he committed to Tennessee back on August the 5th, right? Still wanted to look around. The early buzz was around Miami. There was some talk about Ole Miss. There was some talk about Colorado. UCLA was also mentioned, as well as North Carolina. And I think that's where we're at this point. I think Carson Sneed is looking at Tennessee, and he is looking at North Carolina. Now, we know the stories, right? His older brother enters the portal, ends up at North Carolina. He goes on to Instagram. He takes shots at the Tennessee baseball team. It is what it is. I don't really understand it. I don't understand why you feel the need to take shots. I don't know if you're angry. I don't know if you're mad. I don't know if you're upset. I don't know what your reasoning is for taking to social media to take those shots. But a lot of people felt, man, if his brother is on social media going after Tennessee, Carson Sneed is all but gone. But again, I think it's Tennessee. I think it's North Carolina. He already took his official visit to North Carolina on April the 25th. Joey Halsley, Alec Ablin both went in home for a visit with Carson Sneed less than 2 weeks ago. He's only got 3 visits remaining. Only got 3 official visits remaining. So it was good to get him back to 865 live for that unofficial visit this weekend. He's got Ole Miss on May the 30th. He's got Florida on June the 13th. I think that at one time was supposed to be Miami. Now it's Florida. Matt Ray of VolQuest actually kind of put out and said, I don't know that visit takes place. He said, I feel like that visit is kind of up in the air at this point. But then he comes back to Knoxville on June the 20th for that last official visit. Coming off the visit this weekend, this is what Carson Sneed told Steve Wiltfong. Said it was great, lots of excitement and all around good vibes. Was happy to be back home. Now, is Tennessee really home? And we talk about guys like Carson Sneed that are committed, and then they continue to shop around. They continue to look around. They continue to go through the process. And I think sometimes we need to be careful what we say, what we do, what we may comment on the videos when we're talking about a guy like Carson Sneed. I've seen people say he's a prima donna. I don't think I agree with that. I think Carson Sneed is just a guy who's going through the process. And again, committed. Do you continue to do that? Should you have waited to commit? And I've posed a question to you guys before. What would you rather a guy like Carson Snead do? Maybe he feels like he pulled the trigger a little too soon. We're going to talk about Brandon Anderson here in just a minute. Tyson Bacon's another guy that said, hey, I just feel like I pulled the trigger a little too soon. Now, both of those guys decommitted. However, Carson Snead says committed to Tennessee while he goes through this process. Which direction would you rather these guys go? But the reason I say we need to be careful, you never know who is listening. You never know who is reading. It reminds me of David Sanders, right? David Sanders commits to Tennessee. He continues to take those trips to Ohio State. You're making a huge decision for the future of your life, and you're trying to make sure that you're making that right decision. I saw a lot of hateful comments toward David Sanders. Ultimately, he ends up a Vol. He's going to be our starting right tackle in 2025. Meanwhile, David, his family, his father, all watch the channel. They love the Talkin VAWLS network. That's what led to David Sanders coming on to the show for an interview. So sometimes we need to be careful what we put out there about a guy that wants to go through the process because Carson Snead wants to be in Knoxville. He wants to be at Tennessee. Is Tennessee actually home? According to Austin Price, Carson Snead says if things continue on, he sees himself sticking with Tennessee. He also went on to say that he feels like Tennessee is where Carson Snead always wanted to be. You can see him there on the screen at the 865 Live event. I want to talk about another guy as we talk about being committed and how do you go through this process. I want to talk about another guy that was once committed to Tennessee, pulled the trigger, decommits, opened back up that process. But first, I need you guys to do that YouTube stuff for me. Smash the thumbs up down there below the video. Quick, free, easy, helps the channel. I would appreciate it. If it's your first time here on the Talkin VAWLS network, welcome. We're not experts here. We're not insiders. We're not media. We're not reporters. We're not journalists. We don't fake that. We don't pretend to be that. What we are is exactly what you are. Sitting here watching this video is exactly who I am. We are fans, for the fans, by the fans. If you like it, subscribe, click that bell for notifications. You won't miss out when we go live or when we drop a video. We're going to be live later tonight, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Yes, we play video games. We'll play EA Sports, College Football 25, but we'll also talk all things Tennessee football. So come join us for that tonight, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. You can also support the channel by hitting that join button right down there below subscribe. It's $1 a month to get access to custom Talkin VAWLS emojis, fan call-in shows, all kinds of fun perks and benefits. But more importantly, you're just supporting the channel. You're supporting a channel that is for the fans, by the fans. I want to talk about another guy here, and that is Brandon Anderson. You can see on the screen there, that's from Gabriel Asenda's Twitter, but that is Brandon Anderson there in the picture with him, Ellerby's entourage at the 865 Live scavenger hunt. But I want to talk about Brandon Anderson, 3-star interior offensive lineman, 6'5", 335 pounds out of Kennesaw, Georgia. Now, he committed to Tennessee back on October the 20th, right? And this was over Alabama, over Auburn, Georgia, several others. He was a 4-star interior offensive lineman at the time. After he committed to Tennessee, he really started to trend up, started to get a lot of buzz, a lot of talk. And I think that's why he decommitted and he reopened his recruitment. But then after he reopened his recruitment, his ranking kind of bounced around. Currently, he's listed as a 3-star with On3, a 3-star with 247 Sports. Rival and ESPN both have him as a 4-star. The On3 industry rankings have him as a 3-star, 441st best player in the country. Dropped a new top 5 back in the spring, again, after decommitting. It's Alabama, Georgia, Florida State, Missouri, and Tennessee. And I didn't really know where Tennessee was at in this one. Didn't really know where they were at. Did they have a chance to get him back in the boat after the visit this weekend? Matt Ray over at VolQuest put out an update, said Brandon Anderson was back on campus, and Tennessee's consistency is paying off. Missouri, North Carolina, and Maryland will get him on officials in June, and you never say never in today's world of recruiting, but Tennessee has clearly made a strong impression since he decommitted in February, and it would not stun me in any way to see him back in the class at this point. Now, again, you never say never, but he chose Tennessee for a reason early on, and the Vols are doing a nice job of reminding him why. Now, Steve Wiltfong said something similar, said Kennesaw, Georgia, North Cobb offensive lineman Brandon Anderson was back on campus, former Tennessee commit. The Vols remain the one to beat. I added an On3 RPM to reflect that. Now, his official visit schedule is an absolute mess. So I'm going to roll with what Matt Ray put out there, saying that Missouri, North Carolina, and Maryland will all get official visits. Tennessee also scheduled to get that last official visit on June the 20th. At one point, he had Georgia scheduled for May the 30th. I don't know if that's been canceled. He had Florida on June the 6th. I know that has been canceled. They weren't listed in the top 5 there. So, again, I'll roll with what Matt Ray is saying, Missouri, North Carolina, and Maryland, as well as Tennessee, wrapping things up on June the 20th. And he is scheduled to make his decision on September the 14th. So we will stay dialed in and tuned in for that. So are you committed? Are you in or are you out? Carson Snead remained committed but went through the process, and now it sounds like the good guys are out front. Brandon Anderson, one-time committed, decommits, but now it also seems like the good guys are trending to land the big interior offensive lineman. Tyson Bacon was another guy that I wanted to talk about in this video. He was a guy that was scheduled to be here for 865 Live. Now, the three-star defensive lineman did not show up. I've not seen anything saying as to why he wasn't here, so we'll continue to keep an eye on that. I do know that Michigan went in home just 2 days ago. I don't know if that had any impact on it or not, but we'll continue to follow it. A lot of news, a lot of talk coming out of 865 Live, so stay dialed in. I may drop another video today. I may wait and drop it in the morning after tonight's stream, but just stay dialed in, tuned in. Jump in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. If you don't have any comments, you don't have any questions, just attack that comment section with a GBO. Smash the thumbs up on the way out the door. Go check out the official merchandise of the Talkin VAWLS Network. You can do that at bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. That link is in the description below, as well as a link to join the channel. If you're on an iPhone, that join button does not work, but you can do that in the description below. But that is going to do it for this one. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.